Suka Blayet. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Bulgarian workout. And as you guys can see, yes, I'm wearing an Adidas, not tracksuit, we'll call it a tracksuit. It's an Adidas singlet to go with my Adidas squat shoes. Why? Because I am ethnically Slavic, as you guys can tell by my surname. And the only way this could be more Slavic than me wearing all Adidas would be if I took a chug of vodka before I did my squats. Doing my people proud, baby. Those 3 white stripes. 3 white stripes equal life. All right, guys. Squatting was tough today. I'm feeling the back off work. I've had to be realistic here with what's going on with the training. In 3 months' time, I have added 80 pounds to my daily squat. 80 pounds. This fast progression is over. I'm really feeling it at this point. Like I said, I wanted to go ahead and try to push out 2.5 pounds a week to get to that 500 every day. But what did I say earlier? My goal was to get there this year. I'm sitting here in June talking about trying to reach it by the end of July. The squats are getting heavy to do every day. It would be one thing to come in to hit 485. I'm hitting it every day. And it's getting tough. It's getting tough. And I've realized I need to maybe slow my progression for here. I have some things I need to sort on my squat. I need to get to where I can keep my elbows down. So I'm adjusting a couple different things. Like I wasn't happy with my 485 today. In fact, it threw me off so much that I ended up missing depth. Trying to get used to some different bar placements so that I can keep my elbows down. So I can keep that pain in that left bicep, that old injured arm, from messing with me. That it really messed me up, and I ended up cutting short. I feel like an inch shorter than I wanted to go on depth on my 485, and I need to get that sorted, guys. I need to get my squat perfect before I keep trying to push to where I'm hitting 500 plus every day. I've got to get the kinks worked out of it, and I'm going to have to use this back off work to progress. In other words, I can sit at 485 for a few weeks and do it every day, and I can titrate the back off sets for the extra volume to get extra technique ingrained, to build extra muscle, to hypertrophy my quads and glutes and everything more, so that I can more comfortably ease into that 500 plus every day. And I'm not gonna lie, this back off work is kicking my butt. It is tough. Fortunately, I'm gonna have a high sensitivity to it because I've only been doing singles, one single for months now, right? See, that one was tough, and I feel like I skirted my depth a little short. And part of that's getting used to trying to get a stretch reflex again because I do a lot of pause work. I even did my back off work pause. I did 425 for a pause double. And honestly, even though it looked slow and grindy, it was because of the pausing because I've already hit my training max for the day. It is a little grindy, especially with the pause. But I felt like my bar position was better here than on the heavy set. I felt it was better, and I think I'm getting an idea of where I kind of want to go with placing the bar. I feel like maybe if I bring my hands out a hair wider, I can keep those elbows down a little more. Stuff I need to work on. This first one, though, you guys notice I adjust my feet. I wasn't happy with the width. You know, there's my pause, there's up. I feel like I lost a little bit of drive right there, so I went slightly narrower. I can get away with that. I've got those Slavic hips. I can do pretty well with a narrow stance. See, like that rep was actually better with a slightly narrower stance on the second rep. Like it was faster. So for me, I just get a little more power. So I'm going to need to play around with the technique a little bit so that I can maximize all my leverages, keep my pain low in my arm, get everything perfect on my squat, right? I need to get it perfected. I've got to set my ego to the side and say, okay, I've done really good in that time. I need to slow that progression down. I need to halt that progression just a hair, and I've got some fine tuning to do on the squat. We can use the back off work to create more overload. Then we'll push up, we'll push forward. We'll push forward and get to that 500 plus. I have no doubt in my mind we'll blow past that by the end of the year. Once I get that sweet spot found on the squat again, where I need to be, especially now that it's getting heavy, find that sweet spot, then it's going to be all money from there, baby. It's going to be all good. And, you know, especially with those white stripes, man, you get extra kilos out of that. If you are Eastern European, you actually get like 10 kilos out of wearing every piece of Adidas apparel you wear. That is actually a fact. Although some vodka might help. Well, they don't call it vodka, call it waska. So, bench press is okay today. I brought my grip out about 1 inch. I feel like I do need to start slowly working that grip back out, because I'm getting to the point where I'm going to need to start pushing my bench harder. What I'm doing right now, I'm rowing and I'm doing volume on the overhead press to go ahead and build a little more stability in my shoulders so that I can start benching more. Yes, I know I'm cutting, but you know, I've had a stronger bench in the past, and I feel like as long as I get the programming dialed in, even with losing body fat, even with losing weight, I feel like I can go ahead and start bringing my bench up more. So I need to start preparing myself to do that. And it comes down to building that foundation to bench safely so that my body is prepared for it. So it's prepared for it. And I do agree with that to some extent. Your support musculature can limit your bench even if the primary movers can move it, simply because your body will have defense mechanisms. It's going to want you to not try to lift that weight. It's going to make it feel heavier and stuff when you unrack it if you don't have strong rear delts and all that stuff. So I'm going to be rowing every day so that we can build that support musculature. It's going to be important, and I need to do all that other back work to bring my deadlift up. And speaking of the deadlift, we're going to deadlift next. The hook grip's going along good here, guys. It's going along good. Like, I feel like, yeah, it's still a little uncomfortable on the thumbs, but I'm now pulling 435 every day from a deficit with the hook grip. And again, it's uncomfortable. My thumbs are a little bruised. They're a little tender, but I'm not really in pain anymore. And, you know, so I think if we just keep doing this, we do the deficit pulls every day, add 10 pounds a day, and see what happens when we get above 500. I think doing it every day with a gradual progression like this, though, I think is going to go ahead and continue to toughen my thumbs up for the hook grip. It's allowing me to do extra grip work and to get my grip strong again so that we can get up to where, you know, we're pulling 540, 550 every day, you know. I think that's kind of a goal for me, where I really want to get, not long-term, but even as a relatively short-term goal, maybe this year, you know, to where I can pull something in that range. 545, 550, something like that as a daily pull will really, really help me get that that baseline strength back on the deadlift so that I can get an impressive deadlift down the road. And I feel like this hook grip is really going to be the key I need, because I've always been kind of leery after that old bicep injury of re-tearing a bicep, and the hook grip is going to be my way around that. It really is, and I'm really, really happy I started doing this. Yeah, it's been uncomfortable. It hasn't been fun. There's nothing fun about deadlifting with a hook grip. I mean, deadlifts are fun. But, you know, in the long run, it's going to be worth it because of, again, better muscle balance in terms of getting more efficient pulling mechanics by, again, being able to utilize both my lats and traps evenly. No risk of a bicep injury. Feeling like I've got a better secure grip on the bar will let me pull harder. There's a lot to be said for that. A lot to be said for it. Up next, guys, on a whim, when I got over to the bar, I'm like, I'm going to pull supine today. I'm going to pull supine today. My biceps are feeling okay. It's not putting that same stretch the chin-ups did, even though I've had that tender left bicep from the old injury. I'm like, you use more total muscle mass with a supine grip. You know, let's go ahead and mess with it some. Let's mess with it some. It wasn't that bad. It is harder to grip, but, you know, if I'm also doing rows for grip training is part of the reason I'm doing them, why not do some supine? Now, I don't know if I'm going to do it every day. I might rotate back and forth between the two, play around with pronated and supinated grip. But, you know, getting a little bit of variety in there. And, you know, again, a little bit of bicep work. God knows I could use more bicep. Not exactly my strong point. So, you know, do a little supine rows. It's all good. There are some people, even, gosh, like Matt Winning feels like supine grip lat work is better for improving your bench press. And I'm not saying I understand why that is. Biomechanically, I don't see it. It's a claim he makes that he feels like his bench goes up more when he did that historically. Again, he's a very elite bencher. Might not necessarily think everything he does makes sense or everything he does is the reason he's an elite bencher. It's something to be said for hard work and genetics. But I'm willing to give it a try, particularly since in the past I've said supine rows are interesting, particularly off the floor, that they have some merit. So why not give them a little bit of a try again? You know, I don't think it's going to hurt anything, and that very well might help. And I'm still doing a row. And at the end of the day, guys, rows are rows. You're building your back and your lats and your arms and your grip. Almost any type of row you do. We could argue all day long about which are the best types, but you need to row. Press today was easy. It was easy. Like even my back off work is getting easy on these, even though this is really my first real week of doing it, starting from the first day. I'll increase the back off reps next week. But like I said, I'm glad I dropped down to the 215 for the daily. It's manageable. It's manageable every day. And it's easy. It's easy. So much easier than trying to grind 225 every day. I'm getting a nice explosive rep, good speed, and we all know that, guys. Maximum bar speed does equal maximum muscle fiber recruitment. And again, it may get to a point where I don't even treat it like a primary exercise. It's like, is it really a primary exercise unless I go compete in strength lifting? And I wouldn't rule that out because it's an interesting sport. It's an interesting sport. But unless I'm going to compete in it, it's not really fully a primary exercise. I'm treating it like one because I like the press. I think it's an amazing lift. I think everyone should be doing it. But I could always just do nothing but triples with it at the end of the day if I wanted to, and it would probably be just fine. And I might do that eventually, but for now I'm going to run it in the typical Bulgarian fashion as a primary exercise. And then we got one more set, one more back off. And like I said, I'm going to ramp these up over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to add 2.5 pounds every week to these and run a little 3-week wave of 2 back off sets. And I think after that, I might add back off sets to my bench for a 3-week block, you know, and then take it from there. So that, again, we're building a bit of a foundation to bring my bench up. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. Suka blit!